What's up, guys? I'm doing a tier list. I know it's coming out a little bit late, but had some stuff that prevented me from recording it, and I wanted to experience the meta a little bit more before I decided to build this out. So let's get right into it. Best deck of the format is definitely branded. Branded variants are everywhere. Um, there are definitely some branded players that are more skilled than others. So there are some branded players that you might roll over, but there's some branded players who really know the ins and outs of the deck. And I really feel like the deck itself deserves to take the top spot as the best deck of the format because it is just crazy powerful, and it also probably has the most representation once you get to higher ranks like Diamond. Um, I typically start seeing more and more branded and less Flenderies around Diamond 5, where in like Platinum and lower, I'll see a lot of flow and stuff like that. Next up in B tier, we got D being the king of B tier. Now, why am I putting D so high? That is because D can make better boards and more consistent boards than the decks below it. It also puts out a really heavy negate board. The negate board that D can put out is really similar to stuff like the Emancipator board, but it's just better. So that's why it's up so high. Also, with the right person running the deck, you can just do crazy combos. The deck has pretty much been consistent and some higher levels of play in the game for a long time. Next, we have Emancipator. I feel like even putting it here is too high. I do feel like the deck still does have some potential, but I'm just gonna be real and tell you that like I never see this deck getting played anymore. Like I just don't see people playing it. I think that's because of imperm and other negates being so relevant in the format to stop certain starters that they just kind of can't really get going. When the deck does go first and it doesn't get hand trapped, it will just put up a very hard turn one board that is very difficult to break. But that's if they don't get negated and if they go first. So those are two big caveats. Next we have Life Twin. So Life Twin I'm actually going to put in solid B tier, and I'm going to put it in solid B tier because it is very consistent. And it can do things when their starter gets negated. They typically do have a secondary play, and I see a lot of representation for it, even in Diamond. I'm actually going to move it above Emancipator. I know a lot of people are going to be like, you've lost your mind, but the deck is just very consistent, very good at what it does, and has decent plays. I do feel like it is pretty linear, so you do have difficulty playing out of certain situations, but it is decent. I'm going to put Dragon Link next to Emancipator, and it's going to stay there. A lot of people ask why I put Dragon Link kind of in the playable tier or in the like not as good tier, and that is because Dragon Link has a hard time going second in this format, I feel. And Dragon Link also can be negated and hand trapped out pretty easily. I have had experiences where they have had the answers to my answers, or they've just had a decent enough hand going first to where they can kind of continue onwards even after they've been negated out. But Dragon Link is definitely decent. I don't really think like it deserves to be an A tier though, because everything in A tier just kind of doo-doos on it pretty heavily. After that, we have ABC. So ABC is fun, has decent combos. I did a video over it if you want to check out the deck profile over it. It actually can make plays even without the dragon. The dragon is definitely the best card, but you can do some crazy link ladder climbs, graveyard stacking, all kinds of fun things with ABC, to the point where it's definitely not as good as anything above it, but I do feel like it can beat the decks below it with relative ease, with the exclusion being Chaos Max. If Chaos Max comes out there with its 4000 attack, the only way you're going to really be able to get Chaos Max is by linking it off the board for like the Underworld Goddess, and I haven't even tried that, so I don't know how consistent it would be. but I feel like it can easily kind of get over other things. Next, we have Drytron Herald, and Drytron Herald is this low because I don't see the deck. And the current season and the past season, I don't see the deck at all in Diamond. I haven't even seen the deck in Platinum when I'm climbing to Diamond. And actually, with that in mind, I'm going to go and put it in C tier. And I'll put it in C tier above Blue Eyes. I just don't see the deck played at all. It just doesn't have enough representation. If more people were playing it, it'd be higher, but that's just not the case. Next, we have an adventure variants. And adventure variants are going to be over here in C tier. And that's because with adventure being hit as hard as it got hit, which really they just had a couple of cards hit on the list, but those cards really hurt the consistency, and you're just not going to see the engine as much as you do. Sometimes I do see people running like adventure good stuff with things like Destiny or Phoenix Enforcer still, but the deck really just isn't as good as it used to be. Next we have Endymion. In my entire time playing Master Duel, I've only lost to this deck once. I really don't think this deck is as strong as everybody says it is. I think it's pretty easy to deal with personally, but I do recognize that a lot of players can have trouble with it. I definitely would say it's better than ABC, and I would definitely say that if you're playing against anything below it, you'll probably be able to get over whatever you're playing against. If they do feel the Chaos Max, you might have a hard time outing it with Blue Eyes, but let's be real, you're probably going to see Endymion more in Diamond and Platinum than you are Blue Eyes. Next we have Cyber Dragons. I'm going to put Cyber Dragons ahead of ABC. I'm going to put them below Endymion and below Dragon Link. And while I do think Cyber Dragons have decent plays, I feel like there's not a lot of representation for them, even with the Cyber Dark variants, and you really don't see them that much. I do feel like they can come out of left field and just clobber you if you're unprepared for them. So I do feel like the deck deserves to be on the list, but I really don't think the deck is that strong. Honestly, I kind of want to go Endymion, Dragon Link, and then Cyber Dragon, because I just do not feel like Dragon Link is as strong as people keep saying it is this format. I have lost to it once in the past format, and I haven't lost to it at all in the current format. Next we have Crusadia. So going second Crusadia, OTK, FTK, where they kaiju you, and I think it's Avermax that they go into, and then just smack you for tons of damage. I feel like this deck just does what Blue Eyes does, but better. Like, it tries to go into the big monster to kill you while going second, like Chaos Max would. But it's more consistent. It has like a lot of searches. It has decent effects, decent outs. I feel like the deck is just a little bit better than Blue Eyes. So for that reason, I feel like it deserves to be in B. Also, I've actually seen that being represented more than I've been seeing Drytron represented more. So I kind of feel like based on representation and skill level players in Diamond and Platinum, that Crusadia should actually be up in B tier. Next we have Cubic. I'm going to put Cubic in C. I'm not going to put Cubic in Poo Poo because I actually encountered a couple Cubic players in Diamond. It was Diamond 5, but it was still Diamond. And said Cubic players got very close to winning. The burn effect on the big one is pretty strong. I do feel like if more people were actually playing this, people would run counters for it. But as of right now, not that many people are playing Cubic, and it's probably going to stay that way. So Cubic deserves to be just shy of Poo Poo tier. Next we have Altergeist. So for now, I'm going to put Altergeist as the king of C tier. They got one of their cards back, so they are a little bit more powerful, and that has definitely made the representation increase. I've been seeing a lot more Altergeist decks. So Altergeist, king of C tier for now. Dark Magicians. I'm gonna put them next to Blue Eyes. I don't really feel like one's better than the other particularly. I do feel like Blue Eyes has the better going second game, and I feel like Dark Magician crumbles if you get rid of its back row. They do have that fusion that's decent, but I do really feel like the deck is not very strong anymore. I'm actually gonna put it behind. No, I'm not gonna put it behind Adventure. Adventure good stuff is kind of gimped. So Destiny Heroes, PRD Heroes. You know what? They're gonna be. I'm actually gonna put them in poo-poo. I'm gonna put them in poo-poo because the only D hero variant that you actually will see people playing is the Plasma Lock variant, and that is good when it happens, but you're probably not gonna run into it. And on top of that, D Heroes just really took a hit with the list because of the Destiny Fusion being limited. Next we have Flunder. So I'm going to put Flunder in A. They did lose one of their field spells, but the new quick play that they got has made them extremely consistent. You brick a lot less with them, and Barrier Statue is still in the game. Every one of these decks below it will lose to Barrier Statue. You can even just fill the impen and make people have difficulty and force them to summon in defense. It's pretty good. The only reason why brand is higher is because more representation and the deck can play out a flow somewhat easily. It's not super easy, but it's easy enough to the point where I kind of feel like flow is secondary. Next we have Glad Beast. Glad Beast or poo-poo. I know a lot of people in past formats have been saying that the deck has X, Y, or Z combo. The deck is too slow. Relies on the battle phase mostly to kind of tag in, tag out. Yes, you could use Test Tagger. Yes, you have other tag mechanics, but at the end of the day, a lot of the time the tagging happens at the end of the battle phase, and the deck is really just not good. It is just too slow. In a format where we have these two decks, this just, no. Next we have Despia. So Despia branded variants in general, best deck. Despia branded, I feel like is the best version of branded. So we're just going to go ahead and clear that up. But Despia branded, definitely stronger than Flow. Add Ignister. I feel like add Ignister with the giant boss monster can make super consistently, and the amount of plays that this deck can consistently achieve. I feel like this is the sleeper hit of A tier, and I feel like it is just pretty decent in general. Next, we're going to go ahead and have Dinos. So, I feel like Dinos, they have a decent negate board they can put with a scrap Dino. They have huge beat sticks. They don't have a huge amount of representation. I feel like they're better than Dragon Link personally, but I feel like they have about the same representation as Dragon Link right now. I do feel like the deck is bricky at some points, and if you stop the starter, you can stop the deck. But the deck still is kind of a powerhouse. I might move that down depending on how the rest of this shapes up. We might move Dragon Link down as well, depending on the list shapes up. Next we're going to have Umilok. So Umilok is just the hard win button against pretty much everything below it, even the stuff above it. The problem with Umilok is you have to have the field spell on the board. You do not want your back row to get blown out, or your front row for that matter, or you're messed up. You're just going to be screwed. And you can brick very easily, and the going second matchup is somewhat difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. And we might move it down to B, but for now it's going to be on the ass end of A tier. Eldritch, this deck fell off pretty hard. It just keeps getting hit after hit. The deck is not bad, but it's not that strong as it used to be. I'm actually going to put it below DDD in terms of power. It has higher representation than DDD, but in terms of just power, I'd say I'm going to put it below that, but still ahead of Life Twin. Ice Jade. Ice Jade is fun. It is slightly playable. It is fun. You can do some good locks with it. I'm doing a deck profile over it. I like the deck a lot. It is a great casual deck. I got some wins in plat with it, but the deck is not very strong. I like the negates that it can put out. The deck is not very strong. And if you go second, good luck. Like, it has so many problems until the rest of the support comes out. We need Ice Jade Curse in the game, and we need the Synchro. So I'm actually going to put it down here. It is a fun Floodgate deck, but it's not it, Chief. So Machine Toolbox, it's okay. You're just not going to see a lot of representation for it right now. It's still very playable. It's kind of in the boat where, like, it's still playable, still decently powerful, like Drytron is, but you just don't see people play it. And so for that reason, based on the representation, I'm going to put it in the C tier. Lunalights. Lunalights by themselves, not the best. Lunalight Tri-Brigade, pretty decent, like decently strong. So Lunalight Tri and Lunalight in general, we're gonna put next to Blue Eyes. They make those big, strong monsters, basically, beat sticks. I do feel like they would lose to everything above it. Next, we have Ancient Warriors. So, Ancient Warriors, I don't know how people win with this deck. I just don't think it's very good. I'm going to put it next to Nordics in C tier. Next, we have Pendulums. Pendulums got a recent buff. I'm still not seeing them very much in competitive play on the ladder at all. The deck is not poo-poo, but it's going to go right there. Next, we're going to go ahead and have Gravekeepers. Gravekeepers in the current format, they pretty much get an auto loss to flow. They don't really... A lot of decks don't really need their graveyard to function. So I feel like Gravekeepers at this point are going to be like... Probably the king of poo-poo tier, honestly. I like the deck, but it's just not happening right now. Evil Heroes, they're poo-poo right now. Exodia, OTK, FTK, whatever you want to call it. Just draw your deck to get Exodia, play Solitaire with yourself. Solid C tier. It's consistent enough. The Kaiju King of the Beast deck that's always been floating around and just basically like Kaiju King of the Beast control, that deck's still decent. And I still see representation for it. This is not like Kaiju's as the archetype. Like, we're not doing Kaiju, Waterfront, Capture Mission, all that. I'm talking about a Kaiju King of the Beast control deck, the one you'll actually see. I feel like it's decent enough. It is kind of easy to outplay, but you will see it, and it is okay. So I feel like high-ish C tier is good for it. Grand Menju. This deck's still okay. They did lose support because of one of the pots that vanishes being hit. I'm still going to put it in B tier, lower B tier. The deck still got plays for days. Regular Heroes. Regular Heroes. I'll put them next to Pens. Heroes are okay, but they're just not doing too much right now in the meta. They're not super impactful. One of my favorite decks, Inzektor Beach Trooper. Inzektor Beach Trooper is a lot of fun. It's great in events like the Link event. But on the ladder, not so much. I do feel like it's not terrible. I'm gonna put it next to Heroes. Because the deck is good, but its consistency, it can just be hobbled by hand traps. And sometimes you can brick. But when the deck does have plays to make, it is explosive and it will go off. Problem is getting to those plays. So we got zombie variants, like zombie world variants, anti-meta zombies, just zombies doing zombie things. I'm putting next to Dragon Link. Zombies are just decent in general, but I don't see like non-Eldritch like zombie toolbox decks being played that much. So with the lack of representation, I kind of feel like B is a decent place for them. Nurseburn poo-poo. It's like the bad type of solitaire deck. Like, at least play Exodia if you're gonna do that. Phantom Knights. Phantom Knights got one of their cards back. They got a little bit of salami. Adventure Phantom Knights. The Adventure engine is just kind of kneecapped right now. But I do feel like Phantom Knights are decent enough to where they can be an A. I do see the deck sometimes. Burning Abyss, I have not seen at all. And I have not seen Burning Abyss, like PK Fire Burning Abyss, Phantom Knight Burning Abyss. Probably not as good as these things ahead of it in its current state, but definitely better than the things below it. So it's going to go and see. So, Dragon Maid. Branded Dragon Maid is fun. It's a decent deck. Dragon Link Dragon Maid is fun. It's a decent-ish deck. Dragon Maid is a easily accessible engine, and I still see it quite a bit. I do feel like everything above it can still kind of just kneecap the deck pretty easily. I do feel like the branded variant could be maybe a couple of things above it, but I really do feel like C tier for Dragon Maid. I just don't feel like the representation and how strong the deck is matches with the meta that well. I just can't in good conscience put it higher than C. Madolche. So Master Duel meta is always putting this at like tier 2, or always putting this like really high. If you app the spells and traps, the deck kind of crumbles. I know people always say it's hard to out the spells and traps, but most of my decks, if I'm going to have problems with back row, I will run Lightning Storm or Evenly or something in to get rid of back row. I feel like the deck is actually better than Dragon Maids, but I feel like it's worse than Altergeist. So it's going to be in high C. Orcust getting their boy back. Not seeing a lot of representation for it. Still decent. I think it can go over with Drytron Herald. So Mayakashi Bone Tower FTK. I mention this every list because it is a thing. I'm not going to put an icon for it, but Mayakashi Bone Tower FTK. Pretty good. Definitely negate the Bone Tower effect and you'll be fine. Next we have Prank Kids. Prank Kids got like some of their stuff back, but they're still kind of hurt. I would definitely say Prank Kids B tier, above Eldritch, below D2D. D2D just in the right hands can be explosive. Salad been great. I've actually lost to a couple Salad decks, and it's surprising what the deck can still do, and it's surprising how consistent the deck is. I'm gonna put it next to Life Twin, and I feel like the deck has better consistency than Emancipator, but a lot less power than Emancipator. So I know it looks goofy putting it up that high, but Salad's kind of okay, and it's an easy deck to make because of the structure deck. Giant Ballpark. In this format, it's not very good. It is better than Poo Poo, but Giant Ballpark, particularly 10E Giant Ballpark, probably C tier. Arrow Mage, C tier. Six Samurai, C tier. Magical Musket, C tier. Marensis. So this is an interesting one because this is a best of one format, and the link that they can pull off is pretty good. And it's strictly in this best of one format we have. I'm putting Marensis up in A tier. I know people are going to be thinking that this list is crazy, but trust me, the deck is better than people give it credit for. It is a sleeper hit of the format. It is good. Speedroids. I feel like Speedroids can make better boards than pretty much everything in C. Yeah. And they got one huge boss monster. And they also can go first or go second. They definitely do better if they go first. I'm gonna put them up here chilling with the zombies. I'm actually gonna put them like kind of next to zombies. I don't really know if either one in particular. I'm gonna move myself down here so you guys can see better. I don't know if either one is really particularly better than the other. I'm gonna have to see how the meta progresses. So Spiral. Spiral got one of their cards back. Still not doing anything. Don't see the deck played at all. I feel like that is where Spiral can be. If they still have that one card at 1, it'd be in poo-poo because the deck's just too inconsistent, but got some of its consistency back. So Numerons. Numerons are going to be up here in the King of B tier. So the problem with Numeron FTK is, you know, when it happens, it happens. I do have a decent win rate against it. It's kind of hard to put. I feel like it's more consistent. I feel like they might have a hard time playing against Salad if they have the counter trap set, but otherwise they would beat it. I feel like they'd also beat Live Twin, and then maybe struggle with some of the Eldritch back row. I feel like B tier is good for it, higher B tier. So Rockets is the archetype itself. Definitely C tier. Rockets, I tried the deck. The deck is not that great. Next we got our buddy Sword Soul. Sword Soul is going to be after Branded Despia, but ahead of Flunderies. The deck is really good. The 10E variant, pretty much same space. These two are basically next to each other. And then let's do the Yang Xing variant in rankings next. The Yang Xing variant is definitely the slowest one, and I feel like would probably fall right around here. Unless you're only running a couple of Yang Xings just for like tuners. Like if you're running one Yang Xing, it's not really the Yang Xing variant. I'm talking about like 5 or more Yang Xings in that Sword Soul deck. Like the pure Yang Xing Sword Soul versus like the 10E Sword Soul variant. Subterrors. I love Subterrors. I do. The deck is bad right now. Go and see. Pains me, but it has to go and see. Next we got Spellbooks. Jowgen is a good card. Stopping pretty much everything that special summons is a good card. Jowgen being easy to access in this is good. The deck being able to search itself for stuff is good. Hand traps don't affect it too much unless it's Droll. Judgment being searchable and recyclable. The card is fantastic. Priestess has a decent effect. I'm put right there. And the reason I'm putting it that high is because if Spellbooks go first, everything below it that leans and requires special summons is going to have a bad time. Kaiju aren't even going to be able to play against 6 they can't sacrifice to summon, but they're going to have a bad time. At the very least, with Dragon Maid and Madolche and Altergeist, you have monsters big enough to beat over Xiaogan. For most of like the Drytron guys, you might have trouble getting them out, or might have trouble beating over it. But I feel like these decks have better resources and better outs to Spellbooks than pretty much everything below it. Like, if I play Xiaogan and I stop your hero monster from running it over, you can't fuse, you can't link, you just have a bunch of heroes that can search and summon other basic heroes. So, for that reason, the Spellbook stun, definitely C tier. And we get Therians. Therian Spellbooks are fun. Haven't really seen Thunder Dragons lately. I do see them occasionally. I feel like Thunder Dragon branded is the best variant. I don't feel like Thunder Dragons necessarily deserve to be in C. I do feel like they deserve to be in B, actually, and that they should be kind of up here. Probably speed. It's hard to rank Speedroids, Generic Zombie, and Thunder Dragon because they're all so close in my eyes. Next we have Springans. So playing the one Springan kit in branded is good. Playing Springans as like a whole archetype with the big worm thing and the field spell and all that, I'm putting right there and C. Skull Servant. Skull Servant is the king of C. Sorry, the low end of C tier. Definitely not the king. Trixar. Trickstar getting Light Stage back, getting a lot of their good cards back. I've actually seen a couple Trickstars in Diamond. I did not lose to them, but they did burn me to the point where I was getting a little scared. Let's put it right there in C tier. We already covered 6 Sam, right? Yeah, we did. So, the same one. Trap Chicks. I'm gonna put right there. Trap Chicks actually have a pretty easy spellbook matchup if you play them right. Sky Striker. I gotta try Sky Striker spellbook just to see if that would be a thing, because I'd have so many spells in my graveyard. It'd be fun. I feel like Sky Striker has a lot of decent answers to things, and I feel like it's consistent and it can kind of be splashable at this point. I also see more representation than I do like Dinos and Dragon Link. Also, if Sky Striker has enough back row and Dragon Link tries to field something use effects, chances are it's probably not going to happen. I do feel like Fidemian goes first against it at a hard loss, so I feel like Sky Striker deserves to be up there in B. UA. Field, spell dependent, easy to wall out. Still better than the stuff in Poo Poo. Thunder Patrol. They can hang out over there with Subterrors. Put Subterrors higher than the True Draco is just worse Flenderies at this point. Yeah, they do have more destruction with the back row. Put them below Planet Patrol and see. Tribe Gauge. Tribe Gauge has been nerfed, but it is not gone, and Tribe Gauge is still probably one of the most consistent decks if played right. Even has a branded variant. Tribe Gauge definitely deserves to be in B. And with that, I actually think, no, I kind of think putting Fenrites here would be safer right now, given the list. We're going to do that. Pure Chaos variants with like the Chaos Field spell and stuff. I don't know why you would run this instead of like an actual Chaos deck that would function better, maybe like Thunder Dragons, but if you're just playing like Pure Chaos with the Waverns, Field Spell, and all that, just shy of Poopers here. My boy's Cyber Dark. I feel like the Cyber Dark Cyber Dragon variant is better than the Cyber Dragon variant, but I feel like pure Cyber Darks is worse than Cyber Dragon, so we're gonna put it down there and be Zoo. So Zoo Tri is the better version of Tri-Brigade. All the reasons I said for Tri-Brigade, but with Zodiacs in there. Virtual World. Not a lot of representation. I see more Numeron than Virtual World. I do think Virtual World's still better than Numeron, so it's going to be up there. Unchained, not like Evil Twin or Live Twin, but Unchained, or I guess Evil Twin, Unchained. I'm putting next to Draco and next to Plunder. It can be in between the two. Okay, good. It's just this false Solar Execute. I thought for a second showed my name. It's just me. I was like, oh god, I'm gonna have to edit that out. Evil Eye. Just shy of Poo Poo. Dogmatica variants. Better than Spiral. Zeus Turbo at this point is Poo Poo because you only got one Zeus. And the Yang Zing Ding Doodle shenanigans are also kind of dead, with Halley Fibrex being dead. So at this point, people can still try to run it, but it's like in C tier. So Ding Doodle can go over here. And yeah, that is it for our tier list. Let me know what you think down below. If you want me to cover something else, leave a comment down below. Leave a like if you like the video. If you do not like the video, please leave a dislike. It helps me out. And I will see you guys in the next one. And as always, this video is sponsored by W Energy. You can use code SirLargeGaming with the link down below to get 10% off of your order. I personally like the mango peach flavor. It's my favorite. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.